Welcome back to the Morning Juice. I am your host, Juice. Today we're gonna hit this show at a different angle that we haven't done so far. Today I got Tim with me. He is graduating at the end of this year to be a therapist, and I just wanted to bring him on because we've had so many people on so far that's gone through the traumas and stuff like that. So we're gonna bring him on and talk to him about some skills and just from his perspective where he feels like a lot of this is going. I talked to him before the show a little bit, because I got to know him a little bit. He's very in tune with what's going on as far as how to help people. So welcome to the show, Tim.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm Timothy McCaskey. I work at Home Depot part-time, and I'm also working as a therapist, as a marriage and family therapist.
Where at?
At Mending Hearts right here in Hendersonville.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Mending Hearts, the facility?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes,
awesome,
yep.
awesome.
I do that, and I also work as at pediatric behavioral. It's at Mosaic.
Yeah.
In Glenbrook right there. So
Nice. So
a couple different aspects.
Tell us what you're. Tell us how you're approaching some of these clients. With are you teaching them? Are you going straight? Are you working them straight into trauma first, or are you trying to teach them skills?
It really depends what they're coming in for. I work with an array of mental health issues and behavioral health as well.
Yeah.
So really, it just depends on what they're coming in for. What do you want to focus on, like marriage or family?
Yeah, let's focus on individual.
Or just trauma in general?
Yeah, let's do trauma.
Okay, all right.
So like somebody comes in with trauma on you.
Right.
Take us through the process.
So the process, basically, I'm gonna do like an interview process. I'm gonna just read them out, make sure it's a good fit. Because honestly, a therapist, it's a relationship, and it's got to be right. That's the thing.
Right.
I'm not a right fit for all the clients coming in, and they're not a right fit for me either.
I agree 100%. That's what some people don't realize is that.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay at the first therapist you go to. You can check out a couple of them.
You're not going to. That's the thing you got to realize. It's going to maybe take you up to 10 therapists to find
that one that you click.
100%.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Because it's a real personality kind of driven, because when you have trauma and all that kind of things, you're going to have personality disorders.
Yeah, see, like me, I wanted the therapist, when I'm going to therapy, I want a therapist that's like, that don't sugarcoat it.
No,
like I'm that no bullshit type of person. I want you to lay it on me. Like 100%. If I'm doing something wrong in my recovery, just.
And that's the problem a lot of people have with it, because that shuts them down. I realize, like, hey, wait a minute, they have those traumas that keeping their eyes and their ears shut off from the world.
Well, see, when I first started therapy, I went to a therapist that was like soft and gentle. Was like. He guided me to kind of help me.
A real empathetic kind of.
Spiritual, because I was spiritually broken and didn't have no spirituality whatsoever. Yeah. So, like, he kind of guided me to the spiritual side.
That is a huge part of it.
Yeah. And once I got that and I started getting my trauma out, now the therapist I got now is just a no holds bar. But it's good. It's good. It works for me.
It has to be that way. That's how I am, too. I'm blunt, honest.
Yeah. That's what I want. Like,
yes.
And you got the therapist, like, we have therapists here at Path. We have one, he will beat you down, and he'll just tell you to get back up. And that's good for some people.
It is, and that's good.
And my type of therapist, like when I'm doing therapy work with them, where I've done clinical work, like client work with them at the ranch and here at Path, I'll tell you what you don't want to hear, but then I'll stick my hand down there to pick you back up and to guide you. I'm more of the guider type therapist.
I think the ones you have to beat down a little bit more, they're the ones that have the walls up.
Yeah.
You have to beat them like a little bit. That's the problem, because they don't see the issue.
Yeah, you have to like pretty much just tell it, hey, this is
100%.
It. Yeah,
100%.
I agree with you.
And that's where I can't fix a lot of those problems, and that's where I teach people boundaries as well in life.
Yeah.
It really is, because they don't see the problem. If you don't see it, how are you going to fix it?
Right. So like you got your client. Say he's the perfect client for both of y'all. You've done the interview process. So what's the next step that you go through?
So the next step is we're just going to just start. They're going to take me on a walk through their life. I'm going to ask them a little bit about their childhood, and then we just go from there, Basically, we just start evolving, and I can see exactly what's happening in their life where the issue is pretty much, where it's happening pretty quickly.
So most people I've come in contact with, and, that's why I'm going to ask you this. Personally, most people I've come in contact with, it seems like their trauma starts in childhood.
It really does.
Because you're talking about your inner child. We work on inner child work.
And those are the ones that create the personality disorders, the ones that happen before the age of 6 to 8, because your brain hasn't been developed enough.
Right.
To be able to tell the difference between good and bad. and everything affects you, and that's the problem, especially your parents when you're
Yeah.
reaching out for that love, and they kind of beat you down, kind of slap you in the
So
face.
so most of the clients you see, you realize it's also mainly childhood trauma.
Most it can be, or it can be like going through a bad marriage as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I being a marriage and family therapist, I work with that as
Couples
well.
also,
Couples,
yeah.
100%. And then, of course, there has to be some kind of issue. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? It
yeah.
has
You
to be.
you do couples, and then you probably break them down individually also.
100%,
Then,
yeah,
right?
Yep. You have to separate them, and that's when the truth
Yeah.
really does come out.
Right, right.
Yeah, and then
Like
I bring
they
them
try
back
to they try to be cool.
I bring them
I've
back
been
together, and I'm like, hey, this is what you have to say.
Yeah,
say,
like, I
say
went-
in front of her. tell her how you really feel, and that's where the issue comes in, because I finally realized that people, they can't have difficult conversations in life.
Yeah.
And when they do, one person or the other
It's
feels
shutting down.
like they're being attacked, and they're always on that attack mode. That's a personality disorder.
Yeah,
100%.
like, I did marriage counseling before I got a divorce, and me and my ex, it's like 90% of what was coming out was basically the same thing. It was just that last 10% was different by points of view.
And that's where the compromise comes
Yeah,
in. That's where you have to
and-
realize you're gonna have different
Right.
different ways to to communicate.
And see, for me, it was like that last 10% would be like the difference of her childhood compared to mine. Her living in a house that her parents were married, mine were divorced. She didn't really go through no abuse. I went through abuse. So like that last 10% would be where all of our differences were at. And for us, we couldn't get that last
And that's
10%
what I
down.
specialize on, like broken families and blended families. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's hard when a lot of people come together and there's 4 and 5 kids.
Oh yeah, like when my dad remarried,
At the
I've got a
same
step
age.
brother and a half sister out of that off of that side of the family.
Because
you
now
know?
your attention isn't, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not-
yeah,
it's-
like
it's
you
not
lose
so
the
much-
attention. Yeah, you're
Yes.
not the
especially-
center of attention no
especially
more.
around that 9 to 14, 15 years old. It gets
Yeah.
really tough.
That's when mine got divorced. I was 9, and I'm the oldest. And then all of a sudden, my dad got remarried, and there was
Yep.
See, I was 9, my brother was 6, so Cliff would have been 4. So like we had all of a sudden a 4-year-old brother that we didn't know nothing about. So yeah, I get it completely.
Yep. Yep.
So now we've gone through
Yep.
you've doing the interview process, and so I'm assuming next you make a game plan for 'em.
Absolutely.
A treatment plan,
Yeah,
game
treatment
plan. I call it a
I'm
game
trying-
plan, but
I'm
it's a
trying to-
treatment plan.
I'm trying to work myself out of a job.
Yeah.
I basically have 8 to 12 weeks, man. Most of the time, if it's like the woman I'm working with now, it's a lot more, because 76 years. It's it could take up to a year, 2 years. It could be a lifetime.
Right,
you know what
right.
I mean? Just
And
'cause she
that's
needs
what people
somebody-
also don't understand.
She needs somebody just to bounce things off of, just to refresh her memory and remind herself.
That's what people don't understand. Like when you first get out of treatment, you will do a session or 2 a week for several months, because
Especially if you have really bad triggers. That's
Yeah.
the problem. Yeah.
and then you can go to once a week, and then once every other week. I go once a month.
Yeah.
Because I do so much treatment stuff
I
here.
was
Like
gonna say, I already know therapy. It's
Yeah.
that's the reason I do it, man.
yeah, the
honestly.
therapy, doing therapy work for others
It's
actually benefits myself, because I can
Yeah.
see them at day 0 and be like,
Yes.
I never want to be at day 0
yeah.
again.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's what I was getting ready to say. People have to hit rock bottom sometimes.
Yeah.
In order to crawl back up, and that's the sad part about it.
Right.
You have to let them do it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Sometimes.
So like as you're going through their treatment, I'm sure you have clients that give you problems, or
Oh,
after
absolutely.
they get a couple of weeks in,
Yeah.
they hit they say they hit a snag, because they are right up against the root of the
That's
problem.
because they're not putting enough time and energy into it. What you put into it is what you're going to get out
Exactly.
of it. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when they get right to the
Yeah.
root of the problem.
Yeah, they're just not being honest too, because that's why that's what got me into like behavioral analysts. 'Cause
Yeah.
I want to analyze behavior, because they filter what they're going to tell you.
So like when you do the behavioral analyst, because this is new to me. This is new to me.
Yeah, yeah.
So like on the behavioral analyst, do you watch body language, or
body
do you,
language, facial expressions, it's that, and also we do ABA therapy, where we turn bad detrimental behaviors into positive,
Oh, okay.
with autistics and people with personality disorders.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Like when you say personality disorder, are we talking schizophrenia, or are we just talking
No,
about like?
schizophrenic is not a personality
Or
disorder.
are we talking
That's
about, like, bipolar?
No, that's another just a mental illness.
Okay.
Personality disorder is going to be like a passive aggressiveness
Oh, okay. Like
or narcissistic.
narcissist. That's what
or-
people would mainly know as
Yeah,
narcissistic
or even
people.
borderline personality disorder.
Yeah.
Yep.
And some people don't even believe that one exists.
Well,
but
borderline personality.
Borderline personality disorder
It's a
is
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind
yes.
of thing.
I mean, I've known people in treatment that's had that.
And that's those people when they go out in public, they're the ones that really like to show off.
Yeah.
They pick up the bill for the whole table.
Yes.
But once they get home,
they're crying.
Yes.
They're lonely.
Yes.
They're sad.
That's because it's a covert. The type of person is a covert narcissist. So those people they'll never admit it in public. But they go home and cry themselves.
Right.
Silly.
So like these people are the ones that are the high. They're the middle of the party.
Yes.
And then when they get home, they're the lowest of low.
They crash, and their spouse is like, "Who's this person? This isn't
well,
who I seen at the party an hour ago."
When I was at the ranch. They tested me for that because I would either be way up here or I'd be way down here.
So that is going to be more bipolar.
Yeah, so that they were trying to decide between the two.
So that is a chemical imbalance. Like I'm actually getting interested in the chemical imbalance.
Yeah, so like for me, they wound up, once I got my antidepressants, that went away.
Medication is so important. It really is. And there's very times and ways for medication. And if one doesn't work for you, you need to try another because there's 200 different medications that can,
I always tell people they should get a genetics test done because the genetics test itself lets you know what's the best medications for you for antidepressants and all that medicine, all that jazz.
Everybody has a different chemical imbalance in their head, so you got to just play and pick with it.
So like if people say you don't need meds, like I ain't one to say everybody has to take meds, but like meds are good.
They are.
Meds are good. I am a big believer in medication.
100%.
My medication has completely changed my life in the last 2 years. I would not be where I'm at today without my meds.
Especially with bipolar and schizophrenic. That kind of thing.
Like my meds keep me from hearing myself tell myself, kill myself, I'm a loser and all that stuff. It clears my head so much better. So like and some people
where does all that come from though? Why are you still battling this? You haven't been able
I don't battle it really no more. For me now it's just for me, staying on my meds is one that I have neuropathy now. So what I'm on is also
those feelings. Are you still battling those feelings?
I tell you why. I have what's called imposter syndrome.
I was gonna say I deal with imposter syndrome as well, man.
I have imposter syndrome. So
you're a pleaser.
Yes.
That's the thing. I work with parents and pleasing styles. Because
so like for me, my imposter syndrome comes across like this. Like I've had. When I worked at the ranch, even working here, even doing the podcast, people are like, "Hey, you're doing a great job. You're killing it. You're amazing. Like you're doing God's work, and you're doing this, doing that." Yeah. And for me, it's like, am I really? Like, am I really that good?
That's why I work with people being their authentic self. Because you don't know who you're going to encounter. Honestly,
right.
Like me being myself, like I encounter special.
Yeah.
And that's what brings us together.
So that's what I guess that also for me though. Yeah. Having that, I used to look at it as a defect with me, but now I feel like it keeps me humble. Like I stay humble all the time.
It's a coping mechanism in life. It really is.
I don't get too big headed about nothing no more. Yeah. So like now it's more like that syndrome itself just helps me stay. I don't get too high. I don't get low at all no more. Like I don't think I've gotten out of bed and be like Like as far as waking up and saying, you know what, today might be the day I do something to myself. Like I don't have those feelings no more at all.
That's how the meds are working. That's the thing. Because when you go high, the higher you go, the lower you're going. The lower you're going.
So like that for me is why
it hits you more baseline.
Yeah, it gets me more regulated because like and a lot of people don't know this when you're on antibiotics and stuff. Your antidepressants don't work. They go down and
it's a different
and so like if you're on antibiotics for a couple of weeks. You could feel the old, like I call it the old me. I could feel those thoughts creeping back in, and I'm just like, is this medicine really worth me not getting my antidepressant? Because to me, my antidepressant's more important than my antibiotic at this point.
Absolutely.
So I was like, do I just quit taking this so I can get my antidepressant back on the road? So because once you've been on an antibiotic for 10 days, for example, that's 10 days that your antidepressant hasn't been working effectively. And then it takes you another 7 days or so to get back in. So like people who are on meds like that, they get sick and then they're like, why are you spiraling? And you're just like, I don't know, but a lot of people don't realize when you're on antibiotics, your antidepressants don't work as strongly.
It's not the same, yeah. It's not as
So like you are going to spiral a little bit. So like you're the one that's going to be like, oh, I'm sick. Yeah. Oh, also my mental health is going to shit right now. Yeah. So like you just got to be like, all right, I got to tough this out. And for people that don't know that,
it's more mindful. It really is.
Yeah, like you have to know that. If you're on meds and your doctors didn't tell you, it's kind of like birth control. It don't work as much when you're on antibiotics,
Absolutely. Yep.
And so, like, if the doctors didn't tell you and you're like, why am I spiraling mentally because I'm sick? The reason why is because you're not at full strength with your meds right now.
Yep. That, and also I work with your diet and exercise. It really helps with.
Yeah, I haven't started that part of it yet. that part is not started yet.
Just walking, honestly, it helps with the depression.
Like I do walk.
Yeah, just
like, but man, I drive past the gym and I get tired for everybody in there.
That's funny because I work with a guy right now. He works out about 60 times a week.
Look, my producer, he be sending me. I don't know if he still works out as much as he did, but like he used to send me videos on Snapchat every day, and I'm like.
This guy I work with, it's an abnormal, unhealthy amount. He's OCD. And he works out over 60 times a week. He has a membership to every gym in the city of Nashville.
Oh, wow.
So no matter where he's at.
That way he can't be told he's coming too much to one gym. He can go to another one.
Well, that's the thing I'm trying to, we're cutting him back.
Yeah.
He can do his 1 hour workout a day. And
so like with your couples, we can talk about the couples for a second.
Let's go back to that.
They come in. Of course, they come in usually when it's desperate to the point.
Too late most of the
time. They don't see the signs where they should come earlier because they're trying to keep it behind closed doors.
That's where we need premarital counseling before people actually.
So give me some signs that couples should look out for to where maybe they would think about going to therapy quicker than waiting until the last, we're on our last leg. If this don't work, we're done. Because at that point, they're already done.
That's the problem. They're not. A lot of people, they don't listen until you threaten them with something, and they're like, "Wait a minute, okay, I'll listen," and that's.
So, like when you're doing the marriage counseling, is most of it based on listening to respond instead of listening to hear?
It's more like a mediator. Yeah, I'm basically mediating between the two couples.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't talk about things, and that's the problem.
Yeah, they don't talk about the sticky situations. They just get mad.
Yep. One of the first questions I ask them is, "What are you gonna do when you find them watching porno?" And they're like, their faces they're like shocked, like you need to talk about these kind of things, just difficult things in life, and expectations as well. People have crazy expectations and crazy, and roles.
Because
marriage.
Because a lot of people, they go to therapy. I took that when I went to the ranch for 30 days, or 35, 40, whatever. It was a bunch. So the first time I went, I didn't do it properly.
When did you do?
I went April of 23, got out May of 23.
What made you go? Was it a self-decision?
This is the funny part. I have dealt with mental health issues my whole life. Like it's obvious now, like looking back now that I'm a healthier, clearer mindset, I've dealt with mental health my whole life, right? So in February of 23,
but you never went to therapy or anything?
No, I went to marriage counseling a few times. Yeah. So February 23, I was having blackouts. I've been having blackouts since I was a kid, but I know like where my brain, the frontal lobe just shuts down and goes off the reactor because like it's
overstimulated.
Yeah, like it's where I'm so angry. It's like timeout. And then I'm working on a reactor over here that's just an asshole.
What do you do in that? What do you do in those situations?
Nothing. Let me tell you what I was doing before. What I was doing before was completely exploding on whoever was in front of me, whether it was yelling, screaming, hollering. I never hit nobody, but I would like hurt myself. That's where the self-harming came in. So like instead of like punching somebody, I would cut myself.
Is that just so you could feel something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, then I got addicted to the sound of it. I love the sound of, just to be bluntly honest, I love the sound of my skin cutting. Like as terrible as that is, but like it's an actual addiction. And I was told at the ranch that's a hard addiction to get over because it makes the same sound as you cutting a piece of paper or cutting a box. Like it's all the same sound. So like I had to make myself not love that sound no more. Like almost like be like, oh. Turn like some people where they can't touch styrofoam together. You know how some people, they touch styrofoam, they get grossed out. That's how I had to get my brain. But what was happening was I was at work one day and had a blackout. And it was after close. And I lost my shit and did a bunch of bad shit at work in front of a bunch of 16-year-olds. And I regret it. Even though juice was not there, but juice was there. You know, like,
Yeah.
and you can't explain it to nobody like, hey, that wasn't me, because they see me, but they don't understand. I was just reacting to what my brain, I was shot.
Yeah.
So like,
That's what-
I had a girl.
that's what we
yeah.
call it.
So what I had was usually like I was doing dumb stuff like I would jump in my truck, drive without the lights off, without the lights on, with the windows down. But then once the air cooled me off, I would come back and I'd be like, where the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Well, this day at work, I was like, it happened. I pushed one of my friends, one of my girls, into the bread racks that we had in the stock room. And because I went back and watched it on camera, and she threw a drink on me. And I was like, hey, why'd you throw a drink at me? And she's like, you know what you did. And I honestly, no clue. So I'm chasing her outside like, what did I do? So then after everybody left, I went back and watched it on camera, and I was like, oh. So my boss, or my partner, sent me to the ranch to get treatment. And I went to the ranch, and I didn't do it for the right reason. I did it to go back to work. So I didn't listen to none of this shit. I left there the first time, got out. 5 weeks later, I was heading back to the ranch because I lost my job, which rightfully so.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still pissed about some aspects of losing it, but like rightfully so. God needed me to get rid of that place anyway, and I went back to the ranch and I'd done it right the second time. Second time, I found spirituality, and that was the biggest difference in my recovery. And it's like it says, like, no matter what 12-step program you work, you got to have a higher power.
You do.
Like, you cannot, and I learned that the hard way.
You can't do it without it.
You cannot do it without a higher power. Yes. I was using, like, my grandparents' house as my higher power at the first time, which is not a higher power. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, like, they said, if you don't have a higher power, just think of somewhere safe. So I was my grandparents' house. And so, like, with me, it was like, I was like, once I found that higher power, and I could literally, it's just funny, man, because, like, you know, being in this field, I didn't hear crickets or birds for probably 10 years because my mind was just telling how much I hate myself and all this other stuff.
Racing.
And I went outside one night at the ranch, and I sit outside on the front porch, and I heard a cricket and a bird chirping at nighttime, and I cried. I cried like a baby because I was like, I had not heard them sounds in so long. And it was like that was God's way of showing me that, hey, you're on the right path now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just it's amazing how, like, you find your spirituality. Like, people, like, I never hear God. No, I hear God all the time.
I
now.
do too.
I hear him
I do too.
constantly. Like I talk to him, and people might find this crazy. I talk to God every day.
I do too. Yeah.
Because that is one of the most important parts of my recovery is talking to God. I even go to bed at night and I'm like, God, whatever I did not get accomplished today, please take it off my plate. Let me start anew tomorrow. Because I want to start every day a brand new day.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So like when we're doing the marriage counseling stuff, and do you try to bring spirituality into it? Do you ask them about that?
I try to if they're open to
if they're open, because I know some people are totally against it.
Yeah, that's fine if they're against it as well. But obviously, it's gonna help. That's
and we try to explain it to them. Like, we ain't asking you to believe in God.
Right.
But that's not what we've asked.
Yeah.
We just ask you to believe in a higher power. You can believe in Buddha. You can believe in whatever. Hey, the stars outside could be your higher power, because sometimes nature is an example of a higher power.
It really is.
But you know who created nature? God. So like, you can call nature all you want, but like at the end of the day, we know who it is. You know. So like, if you want to call that tree your higher power,
That's what it is.
it's okay. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
You know, there was a tree at the ranch that we hung a Shekinah on after a client passed away, and I used to go down and hug that tree once, twice a week, just because I felt
whatever represents.
Yeah, I felt that I was hugging the client that had passed away. So like, hey, whatever's your cup of tea, you just got to have a higher power. So you try to introduce that into the marriage counseling if they're not spiritually. If they're not spiritually there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know about you being in this field. I have learned there's a difference between being spiritual and being religious.
It is.
And you don't have to be religious.
No, it's
because,
not.
like...
Spirituality is a freedom. That's the thing.
That's the thing. And you can embrace any sort of spirituality.
You just got to open your eyes and your ears.
Yes.
And that's the hardest part. Because honestly, when I'm in therapy, I deal with some crazy, really difficult things. And I really feel like I'm controlled by a higher power.
I was fixing to ask you that. Have you ever been in a situation where you're talking to a client?
My brain and my body shut off.
Yes.
I'm like, and like an hour went by, I'm like, how did this?
I call them God moments. Like, there's sometimes it feels like I get a warmth over my body.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even know what I just said,
For
but
me,
they're
it's
crying.
it's when they catch me off guard with certain things. And I'm like, whoa. And I shut down. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of the times with a therapist, you have to, like, take the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because, I mean, I deal with crazy, like, you know, people that's lost their babies. I deal
Yeah.
with a lot of, like, you know, detrimental things on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's why I tell the clients
would
I
really
can be
eat you up.
empathetic with
Yes.
you, but I can't be sympathetic
No,
because if I'm sympathetic,
that's when you're
I'm
bringing-
taking on your stuff, and I can't
that's,
take your stuff.
That's the difference. You're showing them how to fix themselves.
Yeah.
You can't fix them. That's
No,
what
no.
people got to realize.
And that's what people don't realize. You know, when you go to treatment, everybody's like,
Yes.
"Oh, so you better now? You're better now. You was in treatment." No,
It's a process.
it's a
Yeah.
I'm day one.
Yes.
Your day one
Yeah.
don't actually start till the day you walk out of a treatment center.
Yep.
Because that's when you have to use all the skills you were taught. Yeah, you might have 30, 45 days of sobriety or whatever it is that you got going on, but like your true start date is the day you walk out and be like, okay, I got to use these skills I was taught to try not to use that drug, that
Especially alcohol, because that's shutting all your feeling off, and you don't know how to process any feelings because you never had feelings before.
and that's what people don't understand. Alcohol is
For mental health, it's one of the worst.
it's one of the worst,
Yes.
and it's one of the quickest that people relapse on because they
Yes.
have always shut their feelings down
Yes.
behind alcohol.
It's the physical part of it, man. Honestly, that's where the medication comes in.
Yeah, they have physically their coping mechanisms instead of having healthy skills like meditation or tips where you dip your face in ice water or any of these other skills. They have they're like, I don't want to feel that, so when I'm drunk, I don't hear that stuff and I don't feel it.
Yep.
And that's why alcoholism is one of the.
It shuts them down.
It's like it's one.
And in our society, it's kind of like it's susceptible, and that's the problem. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, like it's cool if you bring a 12-pack of beer to the party, but like everybody looks at you weird if you bring a 12-pack of Coke.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
if you drunk a 12-pack of beer, everybody's like, "Good job, bro." You drink a 12-pack of Coke, they're like, "Fat ass." Like, you're like, what's going on? But like going back to it, like, yeah, alcohol is so easily to get your hands on.
Accessible, yeah.
And it's legal. So like everybody's talking about this, that, and the other, and I'm like, man, like to me, here's my theory behind alcohol and everything, and you can agree or disagree.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of these other countries out there, out in the world, the legal age of drinking is 18, and they have less alcohol related deaths because people are not binge drinking, getting addicted to alcohol from binge drinking on the weekends.
They're educated.
They're more educated with the alcohol, and they have less deaths than we have in America. And so, like, to me, if you can't buy cigarettes or buy alcohol till you're 21, then how can you vote and go to war at 18? Like, to me, it's got to be one way or the other. Because, like, I mean, statistics have showed in the European countries, their drinking age is anywhere between 16 and 18.
Easily.
And they have
Sometimes
fewer. Right. Germany. I don't think Germany has a drinking age. I think they come out on the bottle.
As long as you're tall enough to reach
But
the
like,
bar.
if you look at their alcohol-related deaths in their country, it is way lower than ours.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, I think it's where it starts off when you're a teenager and it's cool and you binge drink every weekend, and then you turn into an alcoholic by the time you're 21. You know, whereas I think if you took the stigma off the legality of it and let them drink it early, I don't think that would be as much of a problem.
It's more acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you ain't sneaking around because
say,
I'm gonna be
they-
honest with you.
they
The
hide
sneaking around is the dopamine they get from it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
and that starts obviously at an early
yeah,
age.
and you're hitting a teenager, 18 years old, and they're looking for dopamine legally, illegally, all the time because it's your feel good.
Oh yeah.
So like sneaking around, getting that alcohol,
Stealing stuff. Yeah.
it's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So like, that's always been like, I think since I got in the recovery world, that has really gotten to me even more now because I'm like, you know, I start looking at statistics in other countries. I'm like, all right, we got some of the highest alcohol deaths between 18 and 21-year-old teenagers of anyone in the world. What's the difference? And then you start looking, and most of these other countries, their drinking age is way lower, so they don't have the binge drinking.
Even the parents will bring it home and give it to them at a young age.
So like you don't have the binge drinking, and you don't have going from never drinking alcohol to going to your first party and just getting
hammered. Yeah.
So I don't know if it will ever change, but like just looking statistically, you know.
Yep.
Is that how you feel too?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
and
Absolutely.
you know, I just feel like sometimes in this world we see things in a different eye.
We do.
Because you know, you
I
look
think,
at
well,
behavior statistics and
trauma,
stuff like
that's
that.
the thing. Trauma changes your brain.
Yeah.
To an alcohol use disorder.
Right.
To like that actual dependency.
And see, that's what people don't understand.
For something.
The substance abuse is drinking the first drop of alcohol.
Yeah.
Your addiction is when it controls your life
Yep.
and you skip work just to get drunk at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Neuroplasticity of the brain actually changes.
Yeah.
And now
It's a chemical dependency.
And now you're
and see, like in our field, you hear so many people out there. It just completely infuriates me. You listen to people be like, just don't do it. And they don't understand. The only fault they have is the first time.
If it was that
like the only fault anybody has of doing a drug is the very first time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If they have that addictive personality or that addictive gene,
that's where it's over.
There's nothing they can It's not even their fault at this point. And
especially when you're messing with substances, you know, like the devil, heroin, and
and like
and
you know, if you have addictive personality by like, okay, I just stopped doing drugs. Oh, now I've got this shopping problem, or I got this gambling problem.
Yeah. Well, it's an impulse problem at that point. It
really
is. Yeah.
So like, you know.
Yeah.
You got an addiction issue because like you're always going to be addicted to something, so you have to take special cautions at all times.
That's where we need to rewire the brain with CBT and give them simple dopamine. Now you're reading a book.
Yeah, and see, like for me, I get dopamine out of just meditating.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I couldn't meditate while I was at the ranch, but meditation is such a big part of my program today. And you know, you're like,
I believe in that too. Working with autistics.
Like meditation, like. There is nothing better than having you're going through a rough day of therapy with clients.
Yeah.
And you get that 10, 15 minutes, and I will turn on some meditation music on YouTube or some thunderstorms or just some sort of music to where I can just sit there with my eyes closed and just...
For me, it's music as well.
And
but
music.
I use music as well, like in a lot of my therapy too.
Yeah, I love music.
Music, art.
Yeah. Well, I don't do art. My youngest one, that's how she got better. Like she did therapy.
Some art therapy.
And like we put her in therapy as a child. Yeah. And she started drawing at like 10 years old. And like to see her drawing.
Just whatever relaxes her brain. That's why we're doing that.
Yeah,
so
like that's where she goes to now. Like she's struggling. She's like, you know what? I'm going to go paint something.
Yeah, that's her go-to.
And that's like, you
that's
know.
good.
And now she don't even have to go to therapy no more.
That's where we need to change the behavior.
Yeah.
Where they're able to do that on their own.
Right.
Instead of feeling this way, go for a walk.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part is like some people have to go to therapy the rest of their life.
Yes.
Obviously, they've had so much trauma.
Yes.
You know, like for me, my trauma happened when I was a teenager, but I didn't get it taken care of till I was 45, right? So now you got a 30-year window that I didn't do nothing about it with. So now I get diagnosed with complex PTSD on top of everything else because my trauma was here, but I stretched it out over a 30-year period. So now there's complex PTSD.
That's the repetitiveness.
Yeah.
Of it. Yeah.
So like, you know, the earlier you can get help,
the easier it is.
The easier it is. That's why when we get a 19, 20-year-old, I'm just like, God bless you for being courageous enough.
Were they forced into? That's the thing. A lot.
No, because when I worked at the ranch, we would have a lot that were forced into it, and they didn't do nothing.
I do a lot of intervention, and that's the problem. It doesn't really work too well.
Like to me, when I get a teen, I call them my recovery kids. When I get a recovery kid in, when I was working at the ranch, my first thing would be, are you here voluntarily, or was you forced here by courts or your parents? And just that first question, I know how the 30 days is going to go.
Easily, yeah.
And, you know, sometimes they change.
They do.
Sometimes they're like, you know what? I was forced here, but I have really learned a lot, and I think now I'm ready to like be serious about it.
Some people do open their eyes.
Some people open their, but the ones that don't, when they leave on day 30, you're already like, man.
Yeah, you're gonna be back.
I'll see you back in about 4 weeks.
Easily, yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So with your marriage counseling, when you do marriage counseling, is it a certain time frame? Like, do you do like a 3-month interval and see how they're doing, or
it's more just week to week with marriage and family therapy? Yeah, because that's a lot of people, they get to a rut and they're not receptive, and that's the issue.
So like how like So say you've had 100 couples that went to marriage therapy, right? Mm-hmm. Because mine failed through marriage therapy. Like we realized it was like
mine is like a 30% divorce rate.
So you have a 70% success rate.
Pretty close to it.
See,
but I'm just getting started into it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I was gonna figure it was probably 50-50. So to have a 70%, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little more, and that's when I introduce the spirituality, when they can able to turn inward to each other, and when the times get tough,
right, because like because sometimes you could balance it out with a scripture out of the Bible. Absolutely. Sometimes like, hey, I'm feeling this way, and like people don't realize you can Google and be like frustration, and it'll give you like however many passages you want, and you'd be like, this passage here is how I'm feeling right now.
But then a lot of people, they just they don't need to be married. That's the thing.
To
that person, they're married to the wrong person.
Yeah. See, that was me and my ex.
Yeah.
And we laugh about it now.
We just live in a superficial world where everyone's quick to judge. And you make a certain amount of money, you look a certain way.
Like me and my ex, we laugh about it now because we're friends now. Like we cut up, we goof off, we make fun of our marriage now.
How long were y'all married?
We were married 20 years and we were together 23, but we've been divorced for 7 now.
That's been your only marriage?
Yeah, okay. It was it's been my only relationship because I haven't really been in one since then. I've had.
Hey, what are you waiting for, man? You're an amazing person.
Hey, right now I'm married to this podcast. I feel like God wants me just to focus on this right now and be married to this.
Everyone needs that special someone that they can count on.
This is true, but you know what? My special someone, my recovery family is so huge right now that I've got people I can call at 2:00 in the morning if I need something. So like, I don't have to have. Would it be nice to have a special someone someday? Absolutely, and I feel in my heart that I'm in better recovery than I was 2 years ago. I feel in my heart God's going to put me there.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to rush it.
So for you, it's timing.
Yeah. For me, it's like. Yeah. I'm just going to let God guide me to the person or have the person come into my life somehow, because those are the ones, when you're not expecting it and you're not forcing it, those are the ones that
I was literally going to say when you're not looking and when you least expect it is when it's going to happen.
Because I've tried to look for like 5 years and I was like, you're terrible at this, Juice.
Were you meeting the same women over and over?
Same type, yeah.
So you were doing the same thing?
I was doing insanity. I was doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
But like now, everybody says I have a certain type. I don't even know if I do, but like, they say I do, but like, whatever. But like,
now you say type, is that the looks, personality?
No, I'm telling you, I think my type is, and it's still bad, because like being in recovery, you should not say you want a circus act with red flags. But I've even told my producer Brian, I was like, man, sometimes the craziest girls is like the ones that I'm like, she'd be the one for me. She's got so many red flags, it's like an amusement park.
Crazy attracts crazy.
And so like I'm sitting there like, should I? But then I'm sitting there thinking about my own recovery. I'm like, you're just trying to be a fixer in that situation. You do not need somebody with that many red flags. Like it's red flags and flashing lights.
That's what you need to look for is the red flags, and not be and not be a daddy to them. You want to be
right. Yeah. So like I just decided to sit back.
A lot of those maybe are having daddy issues.
Yeah. That was usually that's my type right now. And unfortunately, that's why I'm saying it's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
It's gonna get me nowhere, but like heartache really. So like I don't need no daddy issues. Like I just need somebody that's like chill.
Yeah.
But see,
somebody more on your level.
See, I think important, like being single in this field, and then trying to find a relationship, for example. I think it's you got to find a special person that can understand your recovery and the work that you do.
Most of the time, it's someone that's actually went through the.
And that's what I told somebody. I think I even told Brian. I was like, I'll probably find somebody in recovery because, you got to have somebody that understands. That phone's going to ring at 2:00 in the morning sometimes, and it's going to be a female screaming and crying. And if they're calling me at 2:00 in the morning,
there's something going on.
They're finna relapse or attempt suicide. So I'm on.
Absolutely.
And I don't need you to be questioning
who's calling.
Who's calling you right now? And I'm like,
that's an understanding
thing. We got to have an understanding. Yeah. That phone's going to ring at 2:00. Yeah. Now we could be a team and be like, hey, let's go get to her before something happens. Yeah. Or I can try to talk to her while I'm arguing with you.
And I think that's where it comes in. You're going to need someone that actually.
Yeah. So like somebody in recovery for me would be great. Yep. Look, he's over here interviewing me today. So
I just did that on a natural basis.
I know, that was good. That was good. I was like, hold on, he just asked me what my type was. But so you got a 70% success rate so far
Pretty average,
in
yeah.
marriage counseling. For somebody that went through that and got a divorce, I feel like that's a phenomenal number. Like I think that shows what type of therapist
So for
you're trying
me,
to be.
really, the only people that I really can't help, the couples that I can't help, are the ones that have narcissistic, that have the walls and the ears blocked off, that it can't listen
So
to me.
you find that the couples
There's
that have a
zero-
narcissistic male or female,
But I can that's the thing. I can change the behavior as long as the person,
they're open.
as long as I can see the problem.
Yeah.
Because you can't fix what you can't can't see.
And we all know narcissistic people. Like everybody knows at least one narcissist. Everybody does.
Yeah.
And we know how they.
And depending on the level of trauma.
Yeah.
It depends
Depend
on
on-
how much the brain is shut off.
And you was telling me before the show, how many levels of narcissism is it? You said
Well,
there's 5 kinds.
There's actually 4 different types.
Four different types.
So there's the grandiose, which is the traditional narcissist.
Yeah.
And then most people, it's a trauma based, which is they're covert.
Covert.
It's a covert narcissist.
Are they the ones that don't realize they're even narcissists? Is the covert?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they do it in a hidden kind of thing. Yeah.
But the traditional ones, he knows he
those
is.
are the ones that
he or she knows that.
they're the ones that they stand above everyone else. That's their tradition.
Yeah, they're the ones that like.
They show off. They don't hide anything.
Right, they're
Yeah.
the one with the best
But
car.
not-
Their
but not-
closet
but
is
not-
like
But
pristine.
90% of them are the trauma based, which is the covert.
Really?
Yes.
And then what's the other 2?
So the other one is communal, where they bring people together and cause problems.
Oh, okay. So you got,
Yeah.
so it's like you got that one buddy who's always like,
And then you have malignant, which you can have 2 different types of narcissists. The malignant narcissists, they see people happy around them, and they instantly bring them down. They say stuff to them negatively to bring down it's a jealousy thing.
oh, so it's
They're
like a
jealous.
Debbie Downer.
Yes.
So it's our ones that we always call a Debbie Downer, basically.
They're the bullies.
Oh yeah, the
Yep,
bullies
they're
at
the
school.
Because, I mean, that's right. I work with people being your authentic self, so no matter where you go,
Yeah.
you're going to get haters, and that's the jealousy.
Okay.
Honestly. The reason they're saying stuff to you, they're jealous of you.
Right.
That's the reason they're trying to beat you down.
See-
It's a malignant type of narcissist.
That's one thing I don't.
Yeah. And then you have communal, which families come together, and that's when problems start coming, and that's a communal narcissist.
So like they're the one that causes trouble every time the family gets together.
Yes. Or when a group of friends get together.
Right. They're like, oh God, let's don't invite Bobby.
They start calling people out, saying
Yeah.
stuff, Especially if they see people that are happy around them.
Right. So
'Cause
like when
they're
you go to
also-
family Thanksgiving, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Bobby. I hope
Yep.
Bobby don't
Yep.
show up today.
Yep. Uncle Bobby. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, if Uncle
Yep.
Bobby comes, it's gonna be nothing but trouble.
Yep.
So that's basically what we're talking about.
Yep.
So some people don't even realize
They
they're
don't.
narcissists.
That's where education comes into it.
I'm gonna
where I
tell you right
teach
now,
people-
my
teach
next
people.
family functions, I'm looking around the room.
Yeah.
Where's my Uncle Bobby?
Especially the covert ones. Those are the ones that I love to pick out because it's an investigation thing.
Yeah.
It really is because they're hidden. You know?
So when they're being covert, as you say, covert. So
So they're the
what
ones-
signs of that? What signs of a covert narcissist?
So they're the ones that out in public, they have the walls, they have the masks.
Yeah.
They're a certain person. And a lot of them, they also have imposter syndrome. So they'll have that as well.
Damn.
A lot of them have that as well, just so they can put up a mask to be a certain somebody.
Right.
And then when they get home, so I see it a lot in marriage and family therapists because
Well,
when you go home, the person is a different person, and then they go home and they
Golly.
they vent out to their spouse.
I think I just got called a narcissist because like my last
It's not a bad thing, honestly. It's a coping mechanism.
yeah,
Some people
my
don't
last
realize.
5 years at Sonic,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
the happy. I mean,
And that's where the education comes in.
yeah,
honestly.
I was always the goofball.
Uh-huh. And
So
that-
then when I finally had to go to psych ward in January of 23, everybody was like, well, you're always happy. Like,
But
what
that's
the fuck?
the trauma. That's the thing you're gonna.
Yeah,
have.
because
You're gonna
I was
have-
going
you're gonna
home
have
every
stuff.
night. I was going home and wishing I would die, and I was like, this can't feel this can't be normal.
No,
like
it's not.
This cannot be a normal feeling that I wish I would die. So I guess I was a covert narcissist for a while. Never. I learned
That's
something
what
new
people-
tonight,
that's what-
everybody.
That's what people don't realize. you
Right.
know? It's an education thing. It really is. Yeah.
Hey, so if y'all go home, if y'all are happy-go-lucky at work, y'all go home and y'all cry. You heard it from a therapist. You're a covert narcissist.
It's possible.
It's a
honestly.
coping skill though,
Yeah.
so it's not like the bad narcissist.
It's not. It's not. The bad one is definitely the malignant.
Yeah, or the grando,
They're the
right?
evil.
The
Well,
grando.
you know that they are, so you kind of stay away. You
Right.
keep your boundaries just because you already know who.
Yeah,
They act better
hey,
than
at the
everyone
ranch.
else.
Let me tell you, I could tell who was a narcissist at the ranch when I was working in residential housing, because they were the ones you would go in the room and their bed was made pristine, even on both sides. You go to their closet and their shit was lined up and color coordinated. Their drawers, you pull them out, everything was like rolled to the perfect specs. I think my producer might be that type because he's making a face right now.
That's what really got me into behavior is dealing with personality disorders.
Yeah, you know, so like so we would have to do room checks, and as soon as I go in the room, I was like, look at this. I would pick on them. I'm like, you're a narcissist, ain't you? And they would know they are. They're like, yeah, I am. Like I am narcissist and OCD, and I want everything to be a certain way.
Yeah.
He's like, I would like to call myself OCD, but yes, it is a form of narcissism, is what they would tell me. But like,
it's control is what it really comes down to.
But like, it would be funny. You go in there and their shirts would be hung up from light shade of blue to dark. I was like, oh my god, this is this cat right here.
That sounds a little OCD as well. It really does.
My stuff is just like
that sounds OCD.
The only thing I do is separate hoodies from shirts.
I deal with like extreme OCD. It's like that guy that works out 60 times a week. I also deal with a woman right now that's 21 that she has a phobia against feces, and she wipes with 2 rolls of toilet paper every time that she goes to the bathroom, and she uses a toothbrush in the shower.
Holy shit!
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't even know. So that was just a natural reaction.
Yeah, it's just like people have OCD where there's different levels of, you know what I mean? But they let it get out of control before they come and get help with us, you know.
Oh my god, 2 rolls of toilet paper?
Yeah, easily. I mean,
girl, get a wash rag. Get me quicker.
We're switching her over, and we do exposure therapy where we, you know.
She needs some dude wipes.
But it's a straight anxiety. It really is.
Get that girl some dude wipes.
Well, we're actually switching her over to wipes and getting her off. Yep. So for them, we just
toothbrush.
We just wean them down, wean them a little bit down from the 2 rolls down to a roll and a half, down to a roll, and then we do exposure therapy where I ask them how they feel, on a level of 1 to 10, what's your anxiety level?
So during COVID, they were.
Oh yeah, it's every rocket high.
Hey,
yeah.
they were like, they were $200 a week on toilet paper bill. Oh my!
That or a good bidet. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, bidet.
But that's where the showering went in for this. For her, it was it's a ritual thing for most of those people.
You said she took a toothbrush in the shower with her?
Yes,
oh,
sir.
my goodness.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
could you imagine going over there and be like, what's this toothbrush in the shower? I'm just going to use it real quick.
No, could you? I mean, this poor girl, honestly, to the point where she can't walk sometimes.
I'm sure.
And she can't have a relationship. Like, it ruins
No, because
her,
it ruins everything
it ruins
for
her.
her. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it runs her life.
Yeah, because she don't
want
want
to. Waited. I mean, it's been going on. I think she's 21. It's been going on like 18 years. And you know what I mean? She waited way too long, where it's really affecting her life before she
I'm
came
happy
in to
that
get help.
she's getting help for that.
Yes.
And see, that's what you learn, like, in this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's thinking addictions of, like, it's just drugs and alcohol.
No.
But like, you got addictions to gaming.
Yes.
Gaming's a big one right now.
Internet.
Staying on social media is like
internet.
a huge one now. Like, there's literally classes for social media addiction. Where like people are not going to work because they have to see if they're getting likes.
The minute they turn their phone off, the anxiety hits.
Yeah,
like we turn their phone off on them.
And so like that would be like an addiction for this girl. Like
it is.
that she has to
rewire her brain. So we do CBT, change the way she thinks about it.
Right.
And then she's gonna change the way that her heart feels about it, and then then she'll be able to fix the issue. But realize that it's not going to kill you in the long run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause I deal a lot with phobias.
So you deal with phobias also?
Yes. Yep. Anything from germaphobes to.
Well, I've known some germaphobes.
Fear of being in public is a really, really big
Actually,
one.
I didn't realize that was a real one. We have
one.
somebody that comes to our alumni meeting, and she has. It's not. I don't know if it's a fear or claustrophobia, but it's. I mean, I'm claustrophobic.
Mm-hmm.
Like our room has.
I deal with bridges. Fear of bridges a lot. Yep.
If y'all just saw my face, if anybody knows me, they know.
Yeah.
They know I hate going over big bridges.
Yeah, you shut your eyes and it's
I do. Like when I was
white knuckle it.
When I was married, and we would go to Florida. You know that big bridge you gotta go across. When y'all go to Florida, you know the big bridge you gotta go across. It feels like for me, it feels like it's 25 miles.
Going to the Keys?
No, like the one going in like Panama City, it's like 2 lanes. It's like 1.5 miles, 2 miles long.
But real narrow.
Yeah. Hey, when I was married, I could not drive over that bridge. Like, and you asked my ex, she would laugh at me because she knew. Like, me and my buddy went to St. Louis. There's a big bridge you got to go over to go to St. Louis, and I lock up every time to this day.
It's a real fear. Man.
I'm just like,
it's a real fear, and more people have it than you think.
And then the worst part was when I saw that bridge collapse last year. I was like, that's it. That's what I'm scared of every time. That's what I'm scared of. So like, that is like a phobia for me. Like,
the anxiety shut your brain off.
Oh yeah, like it's bad. Like those big bridges like that, I have to close my eyes. Like I can't handle it. Like the tunnel bridges don't bother me. It's the ones, and like if it's a bridge over like trees or like over roads, they don't bother me. over bodies of water.
And long ones.
Long ones,
Yeah.
not just like over a river or over a lake. I'm talking about like over like
What about
big
the,
ass
what
lake.
about the one on Tennessee River, the one going down off of, I think on 65?
No,
That
I don't like that one either.
Okay, yeah.
No, it's like a 3-part
Yeah,
bridge.
you go up higher. That's the thing.
It's
You,
like
you even go up even higher on that one. And it's,
I barely like the one off of 109 in Gallatin. So like,
no, that's a legitimate fear. And more
yeah.
common,
Well,
more
I
common
didn't
than
realize
you
that
think.
was. I mean, I knew it was a fear for me.
But it's something we're able to help you with.
Yeah,
to get over
like I
it.
have a fear of heights, but I love roller coasters because it makes me laugh the whole time.
You
That's
feel-
how I deal with fear.
You feel secure though. Is the thing.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm stuck. Like I'm not coming out. But like going over that bridge,
Yeah.
that thing might collapse. I've done seen too many of them collapse over the years. Like I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I think I'd be scared of cruises. I've never been on one, but like I think
just being on the water.
Well, I think just not having land. I'd just be like,
What do I do? I mean, a lot of the cruise ships nowadays, it's a floating city. You know,
maybe, but like I guess if I don't go over to the rail, I'd be fine. But like if I ever got over to the rail, you just see me like.
I mean, some of them were they're a few hundred feet to the water.
Yeah, like you would see me just
Yeah.
like black out right now, just lay out on the deck. They're like, oh, he's drunk. And I'm like, no, he's passing out because he can't handle that. I think it's like with the bridge, it's the land thing. You know, like when you go over that one in Panama City, you're just like, where's the
because
land?
you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, where's the land? I just need some land.
The closest land it's down below you. That's the scary part.
Oh boy, I can't look. I feel my calves shaking just thinking about it.
Yep.
Like my knee pits are sweating. Like it's serious.
Yeah, it is. It's a real serious phobia.
So like coming toward the end of our show, as a therapist, because you graduate in December, we're gonna call you a therapist. As a therapist, you know, what is like let's go with marriages. Let's go with marriage because you know the divorce rate in the United States is like 52% now. It's like
easily the highest in the world.
It's the highest in the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's 52%. So like you know, basically.
It's because we don't communicate enough.
Basically, you're almost at 6 out of 10 marriages are gonna fail.
Yeah.
So like, say you have a married couple, say they just got married. Let's go from that angle and say like, if things are starting to get a little rocky, how soon should somebody seek out therapy? Or would you recommend?
Is most people they usually one spouse will make the other person come in. That's where the issue comes.
So
in.
as a marriage counseling therapist on that end of it, would you recommend? Because I've got friends that started marriage counseling as soon as they got married and been doing it on a monthly basis.
Most couples should do it before, unless they're able to talk about things and get to that. You know what I mean? Get to the ugly level.
So you would say do a pre-marriage counseling,
premarital counseling,
premarital counseling.
I think that's what we're missing in this.
Okay.
In this
So
country.
would you, to keep a marriage healthy, let's say we're trying to turn around the numbers, would you recommend like monthly counseling? Would you think that would be good?
It depends on the couple.
Yeah.
At first, it's probably once a week, honestly, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
And change is hard for anybody. You know this.
Well, say it's a brand new couple, a brand new married couple.
Just coming together.
Coming together.
They need to work on communication and how their love style, what their loves. Because honestly, all that trauma and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That creates love styles. It
So-
creates attachment styles.
As a marriage counselor, can you? It's the same as couples counseling then. So like,
100%,
say I got a girlfriend
Yeah,
tomorrow,
You could bring a girlfriend.
and
in.
I'd be like, hey, let me tell you.
If you want to get to that next level.
We're gonna start counseling like next week.
Yeah, but see, a lot of people they hear counseling and they automatically think negative, like there's problems.
No, I think you can spin it to where it's a positive though. Like
it is a
I want to
positive
learn.
thing.
I want to go to counseling to learn how to listen to you.
It is an education.
Like
Yeah.
you know, because like
Yep.
you've got trauma, I got trauma.
And a lot of people they don't know how to talk about their feelings, and that's another
Right,
issue
and then a lot of them don't even want to talk about what happened to them in the
No,
past, and you
no.
don't find out
your
until
own-
like you've done something that triggers
to your
them.
own spouse. They should, you know what I mean. So you didn't have any vulnerability
Yeah.
at all up front. Yep. At the beginning of the relationship.
So
So that way you two probably shouldn't have been together because you need
Right.
to get that vulnerability way, you know, if you're looking at that marriage level.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, whoever's my next girlfriend, we doing counseling right away.
Yeah, it's definitely a
We're
good
gonna do
thing.
counseling right away.
Just to get the expectations out of the way.
Yes.
The roles.
Get your roles.
Yeah.
Get everything laid out.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the biggest thing is there's no surprises because that's when there's problems.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's when you've been a couple for 3 years, but you didn't live with each other till you got married, and then you
that's-
walk in and you're like,
That's the issue I have. I believe
this
everybody.
dirty.
I believe everyone should live together before getting married. Honestly.
Really?
Yes. Yep.
How long would you say? 6 months or a year?
A year and a half.
Because
you don't really know.
Because you have that
someone.
honeymoon period anyway. So the first few
Easily.
months you're like,
Yeah, it's too new, it's too fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then about 6 months you're like, if that son of a bitch leaves one more hanger in the
The
closet.
new and the truth, and that's where if someone has one of the personality disorders,
Yeah.
and the marriage is falling apart in a year and a half, one of them is going to have an issue.
Yeah.
But if they both have an issue,
And they had the issue beforehand before
Yes.
you even got married. If you were
Yes.
living together.
But if both the people have the issue, they're not going to be having an issue because they're going to have passive aggressiveness. They're not going to talk about anything.
Right.
Yeah. They're so passive because I don't want to make them mad. I dealt this in a past relationship that made the person mad, so now they're being very, very passive.
Yeah.
Yep. Until it builds up to a certain level, and then of course, obviously,
It
when
explodes.
you have passiveness, you're
Yeah,
you're
you have
miss.
aggressive at some point because the passive
Lasts
push it
for
down,
so
push it
long.
down, push it down, push
Yeah.
it down to like
And that's pushing it under the rug. And that's
yeah,
the same
and
thing
then
with trauma.
as soon as somebody does something small,
Yeah, and it's always the little small stupid things that set you off. Yeah, set
it was
you.
me.
Yeah.
All right, now we're at the end of our show for the week.
Yeah.
Tim, thank you for coming on and
Absolutely,
give us a
my
different
pleasure.
perspective.
Yep. Yep.
This was a fun conversation. I learned a lot about myself today.
Yep. That's what I'm here for, is opening people's eyes.
I'm a covert
honestly.
narcissist. I learned that.
But it's not a bad
I learned
thing,
so.
honestly,
I learned
it
that
isn't.
Brian is a narcissist with his clothes.
No, it's I think with him it's an OCD. It's an OCD thing. I mean, obviously most people have an OCD. But
Brian likes
not to certain levels. There's definitely
Brian likes to
levels
roll
of
his t-shirts up and all nice and fancy,
color coded.
color coded.
Yeah.
He says if you look in his closet, everything is from light to
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
So we're at the end of the show. If anybody has any problems or need help or anything, our website is now up. It's morningjuicepod.com. You can actually go on there, and there at the very bottom of the website, you can put your name. You can put all your stuff, and it'll send me an email if you need help, which is cool. Because, on Instagram, unless you direct it, message me, everybody in the world could see it. So this is a very closed area. Nobody can see that you're messaging me. Also follow us on Instagram at Morning Juice Pod. TikTok also Morning Juice Pod. It just started this week. Please go like the page. We need some likes over there. Of course, YouTube. It's the Morning Juice on YouTube. Keep sharing and liking and commenting on there so we can try to get this thing around the world. Thank y'all for everybody that's been with me in this journey so far. This is episode 10, and Brian told me today most podcasts fail within the first 10 episodes, so we're at the hump, so we should be good to go from here. We're trying to make a few changes here and there. If y'all haven't noticed, our quality's gotten better each episode. I've started talking more each episode, so I hope everybody's enjoying it. And with that being said, we are out. Peace.